Good morning and Happy New Year, everybody. Wir freuen uns sehr, dass ihr alle da seid und dass wir auch zurück sind. Willkommen, Genevieve. Hello.
Hello, good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Frohes Neues.
Ja, also wir freuen uns auf noch ein Jahr, wo wir zusammen viele interessante Themen behandeln. Natürlich über die englische Sprache. Wir lernen auch natürlich ganz viel dabei. Richtig, Genevieve? Ja. Und ja, also eine kurze Nachricht für diejenigen, die nicht bei uns waren am Ende letztes Jahres, wird Maren ein paar Monaten nicht dabei sein, was natürlich schade ist. Aber dafür haben wir Genevieve und ich und ab nächste Woche haben wir auch eine neue Gästin, eine neue Deutschmuttersprachlerin, Karina. Und wir freuen uns sehr, dass sie uns auch mitmacht. Ja, also erstmal eine kurze Frage für dich, Genevieve. Hast du
Ja.
was Besonderes zu Silvester oder zu Weihnachten gemacht?
Also kurze Antwort ist nein. Also leider war meine kleine Tochter sehr krank. Also krank. Sie ist heute wieder in der Kita. Aber ja, das war sehr schade. Aber wir waren ganz kurz auf einem Kinderbauernhof und es hat die ganze Zeit geregnet, aber mindestens war das so eine kleine Ausflug und ja, wir haben das sehr genossen. Und
Sehr schön.
was hast du gemacht?
Ja, wir haben kleine Kinder hier am Haus und deswegen mussten wir unser Silvester ein bisschen früh feiern. Und unsere Idee war, Silvester in Hongkong zu feiern. Das heißt, um 6 Uhr abends können wir Hongkong New Year's feiern.
Toll.
Ja, das hat Spaß gemacht. Wir haben da Englisch-Radio angehört und ja, es war lustig.
Oh, super.
Ähm, aber mir ist auch eingefallen, was interessant ist. Deutsch hat ein super Wort für die Zeit zwischen Weihnachten und Silvester, zwischen den Jahren, ja, between the years. Aber das existiert nicht auf Englisch. Wir sagen nicht between the years. Und Genevieve, du hast mir ein neues Wort beigebracht für zwischen den Jahren im Englischen. Ich habe das noch nie gehört, aber ich finde es toll. Also
Ja,
vielleicht
ich
kannst
habe
du das.
das also erst dieses Jahr zum ersten Mal gehört. Und es ist Twixmas. Twixmas. Und es kommt von ein altes englisches Wort betwixt. Und betwixt heißt inzwischen, dazwischen.
Betwixt.
Und
Ja.
ja, betwixt. Between.
So between and Christmas mixed together. That's great. I love it.
Ja, genau. Und ich habe auch Betwixtmas gehört. Betwixtmas, Twixmas. Und es hat nichts mit diese Schokoladeriegel zu tun, weil es gibt auch so ein Twix
Mhm.
Schokoriegel. Es ist nichts mit Twix Schoko zu tun. Es ist wirklich so diese between, alte englisches Wort, between, betwixt.
Das
Twixmas.
finde ich super. Vielleicht können wir einfach dieses Wort populär machen, indem wir das jeden Tag benutzen. Ja, cool. Nice. Ja, also heute haben wir hoffentlich auch ein spannendes Thema mitgebracht. Wir haben sogar einen Kommentar bekommen von euch. Can we talk about I and me im Englischen? Ja, können wir machen. Es ist wirklich ein schönes Thema übrigens, weil auch Muttersprachlerinnen viele Probleme mit I und me haben. Nämlich verwechseln wir oft die zwei. Und es geht teilweise darum, dass unsere Kasen im Englisch, also wir haben Nominativ und also Objektiv, aber kein Dativ, Akkusativ, keine drei verschiedene ähm, Cases. Also von dem her verwechseln wir sie oft. Und Genevieve wird ein bisschen dazu erklären, aber erstmal, was sind diese Wörter und wie funktionieren sie? Oder warum brauchen wir sie überhaupt? Ja.
Genau. Ja, sehr gute Frage.
Also gehen wir ganz kurz. Also wir haben jetzt heute auf Deutsch begonnen, aber wir wollen auf jeden Fall ein bisschen mehr Englisch reden. Also hier fängt es an,
Ja,
bisschen im Englischen. Gut?
rutschen.
Ja.
Okay, so I and me. what do we call these words? These are called pronouns. And pronouns, the job of a pronoun is to take the place of a noun. But why do we need something to take the place of a noun? Why don't we just use the noun? Why do we need pronouns? Well, I've written a little introduction to a story. I want you to listen to it and tell me if you think it sounds okay or if it sounds a bit strange. Okay, are you ready? Mary and Bob's Christmas decorations down from Bob and Mary's Christmas tree. Then Bob and Mary took down Bob and Mary's Christmas tree. Bob and Mary's Christmas tree looked very sad without Bob and Mary's Christmas decorations. Bob and Mary's Christmas decorations are now back in Bob and Mary's Christmas decoration box, ready for next year. So it's a nice story about Bob and Mary, but how many times did I say Bob and Mary? How many times did I say Christmas decorations, Christmas tree?
Yeah.
How
I
did it
think
sound to you, Todd?
I think it's super interesting to listen to a text like this because it really shows us how many times we use pronouns. We use them all the time in German, in English, in pretty much all languages. And so something like what you just read, which sounds very awkward and strange, we can replace with pronouns and say, Mary and Bob took the Christmas decorations off of their tree, off of their tree. Then they took down their Christmas tree. So we have all of these words to make it sound a lot shorter. So it shortens it and it just tells the listener, I've already heard this information. I know who the people are. I know who they are in this case. It's Bob and Mary. So this is why we need pronouns. But they can get a little bit complicated because with just names or nouns, we don't really change cases in English, but with pronouns we do. So let's talk about I and me. You have a couple of example sentences for us, right? Are you there, Genevieve?
I'm here.
Okay, you're back.
Sorry.
Cool.
I'm back. So the first sentence I have is Todd and I are presenting the session this morning. And the next sentence I have, we hope you all give Todd and me some good feedback. No pressure, no pressure.
Okay.
So Todd and I are presenting the session this morning, and we hope you all give Todd and me some good feedback. So, are both sentences correct? Yes, they are both correct. In one sentence we use I, the other sentence we use me, but they're both correct because in the first sentence, Todd and I are the subject. We are the doers. We are the ones doing the action. We are presenting. Todd and I are presenting the session this morning. If I am the subject, then I'm always I. That's a funny sentence. If I am the subject, then I am always I. In the second sentence, the object or the indirect object, the recipient of the sentence, is Todd and me. We hope you all give Todd and me some good feedback. So in this case, the good feedback is the direct object, and Todd and me is the indirect object, the recipient, or auf Deutsch, Empfänger. We are the ones that receive the direct object. If we change the order a little bit, if we reshuffle the sentence, maybe that will be clearer. So we hope you give good feedback to Todd and me, but the me stays the same. And as Todd said before, even native English speakers mess this up sometimes. And the funny one is when people think they sound more posh or educated if they use I when they should be using me. And this is what we call hypercorrection. So it probably comes from parents correcting their children when the children make a mistake. So for example, if a child said, Todd and me want ice cream. So in that sense, that's incorrect. Yeah, it's Todd and I want ice cream because Todd and I are the subject. We are doing the wanting. So I think when parents corrected children so many times when they used the object instead of the subject, then the children thought, oh, I is always correct. But that's not true. I is only correct if it's the subject.
Ja, also ganz kurz zusammengefasst hat Genevieve gerade erklärt, der Fehler, der super, super oft vorkommt, ist me anstelle von I zu sagen. Im Beispiel, Genevieve and me are going to the movies later. Und viele Eltern oder Leute, die dann gerne korrigieren, sagen immer, es muss I sein. Und dann machen die Leute das zu oft. Und es hier mit dem Satz, was jetzt auf dem Bildschirm steht, we hope you give some good feedback to Todd and me. Man hört das ständig, auch von Muttersprachlerinnen. We hope you give some good feedback to Todd and I. Passiert ganz oft. Und ja, das hört man sehr oft und muss man einfach vermeiden und denken, ist das Objekt oder Subjekt? Das ist der Schlüssel, ja, für uns heute.
Genau,
Cool.
genau. So just always remember, it's I if I am doing something, but it's me if something is being done to me. Let's have a look at some sentences and see if you got it. So the question here is, what's missing from these sentences? Is it I or is it me? So the first sentence is, the president and will be traveling in her private jet. So the president and I will be traveling in her private jet, or the president and me will be traveling in her private jet. What do you think? I or me? Whoa, everyone's awake this morning. I'm so impressed.
You came prepared to think on the first Monday of the year. Fantastic.
Amazing. Fantastic. Well, yes,
Very
the
good.
president and I, we are traveling. We are the subject. Correct. Okay, next one. They told my husband and I the good news. Or they told my husband and me the good news.
So think about here once again. Direct object, indirect object, subject. Who is doing the action? Who is receiving the action? And what is the object of the action?
Oh, very good.
Lots and lots of me's. Looks good. So here we have, yeah, me. We have they here as the subject at the very beginning of the sentence. And we have the verb to tell, yeah? So we know we have a recipient. We have somebody who's listening, right? They told my husband and me the good news. Perfect. Very good.
Okay.
And the third sentence?
The third sentence, I really apologize, but it's a true sentence. Maren and me both love the movie Titanic, or Maren and I both love the movie Titanic.
I didn't know we were getting a singing performance today.
No, we're not. We're not.
Okay. Lots of eyes, very fast. Yeah. Looking good. The majority has it. Again, with I. Yeah. Maren and I both love the movie Titanic. So, and this sentence is a good example for a little trick or a rule of thumb in English. Is there a word for rule of thumb in German? Genevieve, do you know that? Can you help us in the audience? Rule of thumb?
Sounds very similar.
I think it's similar in German. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Daumenregel. Yeah. So in most cases, if we look at this sentence, where are the nouns that we're talking about? They're at the beginning of the sentence, and this is a nice little trick for us between I and me. If we see the items at the beginning of the sentence, it's almost always going to be I, or the subject pronoun. And if you see it in the middle or in the end of the sentence, it's almost always going to be me. And what helps here is that English has pretty strict word order. So the subject is almost always at the beginning. German's a little bit different in this way because you can move words around a little bit more freely in German. So if we look again at this sentence, Maren and I, beginning of the sentence, subject. If we look at some of the previous ones, let's pull them up again real quick. This one was the object pronoun, and as we can see, the blank is in the middle of the sentence or towards the end of the sentence.
Yeah.
And then if we look again at the first sentence, the president and I, again, at the beginning of the sentence. So this is a little trick that we can use if you're ever unsure. Use that sort of position in the sentence as a trick. Cool. Nice. So now we've looked at, so those are the pronouns for I and me. I think it's useful to also just take a review and look at what are the other object pronouns in English that change, because we have a few that stay the same. So we have in English, in first person, I and me. That's what we've discussed so far. With you, it stays the same. So it's you and you. You don't have to worry about that one. With he, she, and it also stays the same. He, she, and it in the object case. But then we have a couple that change in the plural. We have they and them, and we have we and us. Now, a little bit different from I and me. If we say they or we usually don't have another pronoun with it. So we can say, for example, Genevieve and I, but we can also just say we. Yeah. So those are the pronouns to pay attention to, a little review. But we also wanted to talk a little bit about reflexives today, Reflexivpronomen. Die heißen auf Deutsch als Wiederholung. Moment. Ich zeige ganz kurz. So, auf Deutsch haben wir diese Reflexivpronomen. Ich, mich, du, dich, er, sie, es, sich und so weiter. Wir haben solche Reflexivpronomen auch im Englischen, aber sie sehen deutlich anders aus als im Deutschen. Also hier sind auch ganz häufige Fehler besonders bei Deutsch-Muttersprachlern, die Englisch lernen. Und zwar zeige ich einen Satz, was Genevieve und ich öfter gesehen oder gehört haben. Und zwar, we see us later. Und ich habe da ein Sternchen da gezeigt, weil das nicht richtig ist. Nämlich, was sollen wir eigentlich da sagen, Genevieve?
This is a really interesting one, because if you look at the grammar, the we is the subject and the us is the object. So if you've learned your rules, then you think, oh, this is perfect. But in this case, we need the reflexive to be in this case. But it's just not as natural. Like, we would not say we will see ourselves later. That would not be correct in this case. I was just going to say, does anyone have an idea what would be a better sentence? So we see us later is not correct.
Yeah. So see you later from both Beate and Stefan is also good. From Albert, we have we see you soon. almost. The only thing I would change there is we will see you soon. We'll see you
Yeah,
soon.
there's more than one mistake in that sentence. But this is the thing. So we have another reflexive that we could use. I wonder, does anyone know?
So if I really want to emphasize that it's you and I that are seeing each other, can you think of one between us? Yeah, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky question. All of these are good though. Catch you later. Ah, there it is.
Michael.
Ah, Michael came up with it, and it is each other. Yeah. So if we really wanted to emphasize the between us part of that, we could say, we will see each other later.
Yeah.
So, and as we will see, we have this each other thing in English to talk about between us, but then we also have reflexives that don't imply this between us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about those. Most of the reflexives in English are a combination of a pronoun and the word self.
Hmm.
So we have one example sentence here. And this is actually the embarrassing example. Yeah. So we have an interest. Okay, ich sag mal ganz kurz auf Deutsch, ja. So wir haben ja diese Pronomen mit self, so themselves, ourselves, myself und so weiter. Wir werden sie weiter diskutieren. Aber dann haben wir auch, wie wir schon gesehen haben, each other, ja, also dieses zwischen uns Bedeutung. Und hier kann interessante Situationen vorkommen. Und zwar dieser Satz, they are playing with themselves, ist nicht besonders, ja, ist ein bisschen komisch, weil ich erkläre mal auf Englisch, they are literally playing with themselves, yeah? So they could be playing by themselves, or with themselves, or with each other, right? So we have with themselves is a slightly dirty meaning. We have by themselves means playing solo, alleine, yeah, in this case. By themselves, alleine, with themselves, slightly dirty meaning, and then playing with each other is the
Yeah, like
third
in
option.
Forrest Gump. Do you remember the movie Forrest Gump? And he plays table tennis, tisch tennis, and he plays by himself because he moves the table, half of the table up, so he can play against the table. So
Yeah,
you would say that he's playing by himself. They are playing by themselves. So he's playing a game solo.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, basically what we're showing here is you have to be careful which version that you're using. Each other always is this togetherness, zusammen, yeah? Sie spielen zusammen, würde man auf Deutsch sagen. Um, yeah, and in that case, yeah, Bastel Andy says, I hope there are no children in here. Yes, um, indeed. So, yeah, these are the three options for this type of interaction. So let's look at another example. Genevieve, do you want to take us through these?
So this is another one. It can be a little bit funny. I mean, it's not that embarrassing. It could be funny. So if I say they are talking to themselves, then it might be someone you would see on a train late at night and they're just saying and there's nobody beside them. They're talking to themselves. But they are talking to each other. Then you have two people interacting, they are talking to each other.
Yeah, good. Good. Yeah, so what about ourselves? When when do we use it? When do we use ourselves in a sentence?
Yeah, I mean, this one, I was trying to think of the most common use of this word, and for me it's about ability. If we can do something, we can do it ourselves, or we can do it by ourselves. We don't need help. We have the skills. We can do it ourselves. So the we is the subject, and the ourself is reflecting back to that same subject. We don't need anybody else. We can do it ourselves. And then there's also, I had another thought with a question about, I don't know, I had a situation in my mind that if you have two parents sitting at the dinner table and the children are on their mobile phones and the parents are trying to have a conversation with the children and the children are just like, maybe the parents would say to each other, are we talking to ourselves? Is anyone here? Anyone listening? And that's just another example I thought of for the reflexive ourselves. And if you notice, so we have myself, but ourselves. So self is the singular, and then when you have the plural, it's spelled differently with the VES.
Myself, yourself, ourselves, yourselves und so weiter. Genau. Also wie würde man eigentlich diesen Satz auf Deutsch schreiben? Are we talking to ourselves? Hier macht man das eigentlich sehr anders im Deutschen. Könnt ihr das vorstellen, wie ihr das auf Deutsch schreiben würdet? Are we talking to ourselves? Wenn Eltern ja zu den Kindern sagen, ja, man würde auf Englisch auch sagen, are we talking to the wall?
Ja.
Ähm,
Oh, was sagen wir auf Deutsch? Reden wir mit uns selbst?
mit
oder
uns selber, okay.
Mit uns
Reden wir mit
selbst?
uns selber. Ja.
Führen wir ein
Führen wir ein
Selbstgespräch?
Ja.
Toll. Guck
Also
mal,
very
wieder
good.
was Neues gelernt.
Yeah, exactly. So I think with these with the myself, yourself versus each other, the main thing to remember is that each other is always about an exchange, yeah? Miteinander auf Deutsch. Are we talking with each other? Are we talking to each other? Are we playing games with each other? Are we, yeah, all of these things. And the myself, yourself, their selves, themselves. It's about either ability, also Fähigkeit, etwas zu machen. Can you do that yourself? Kannst du das alleine machen? Or something that they're doing without other people. Yeah. So talking to yourself, for example, I'm not talking to other people. I'm talking to myself. Only me. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing, I was just thinking about this. So in English, we have you, so Todd, you, but also we have you, plural. So I can be talking to you all of you listeners, all of you learners. And I think, I mean, in Ireland anyway, we got maybe a little bit frustrated with this. Like, there's no difference, it's the same word. So in Ireland, we often use ye. I don't know if you do, Todd, if that's anything you've ever used, but why e? Now, again, in spoken English. And it really, and it comes about because we found a need for it. So that's how language evolves. So often we will say, are ye coming to the party? And that means I'm talking to one person, but I mean their whole family or them and their partner. And I was also wondering, in the States, what do you say? Do you have something else that you've come up with because the you was just too similar to the single you?
This is a super interesting case, actually, because I think all English speakers, native speakers around the world, have come up with ways to do the you plural, this ihr form, die ihr auf Deutsch habt. And so in the south of the United States, you've probably heard maybe in Western films or in other films the term y'all, which is basically short for you all. So you plural, all of you, y'all. Um, and we won't get into the complication of how that then became singular in the South, and then they came up with another one. But in the South, you say y'all for the plural. Um, and where I come from, in the northern part of the United States, we have something that is not very gender neutral, but it is for us, and that is this term, you guys.
Yeah.
So guys is actually, ja, Kerle, es ist männlich, yeah. But for us in our dialect, this word guys becomes completely general. I can say it to women or men or anybody. And we just say, are you guys going to the movie later? Yeah, or something like that. So all speakers have come up with this special way of using a pronoun for the you plural.
And what about you folk? You folk or you folk? No, you folks.
Folks. Yeah, folks. Yeah, you folks. Kann man auch sagen. Yeah, is also possible. But I would say this is the most common. You guys and y'all for American English, and ye for, is that just Ireland? Or what do they?
I can't actually say, but I just know that is true for Ireland. And also yiz. Oh, this is a really sangy one. Let me see if I can. Yeah, is that coming up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, yiz. Y-I-Z. That's also very it's Dublin English in Ireland.
Yeah.
Are yous coming later? Are yous coming later to the party?
So we're getting a little dialect lesson today. That's fantastic. Cool. Great. So let's jump to the quiz. It's already 10:30.
Yeah, are yous ready for the quiz?
Yeah, nice. Or are you guys ready for the quiz? Fantastic. Okay, let's do it. Let's see if we've got it today. So first question is, they figured out the game all by ourselves, theirselves, themselves. Oh, I have to show it. There we go. They figured out the game all by ourselves, theirselves, or themselves.
Wow, Anita, very, very quick.
So here, once again, before we discuss the answer, the review is basically that the reflexive is very often the object pronoun plus self or selves. In this case, we have the subject pronoun they, and so the object pronoun is going to be them plus self or selves. So 3 is correct in this case, by themselves. Yep. Interestingly, number 2 here, their selves, isn't a real English reflexive pronoun, but you do hear it from certain speakers.
You do.
So that's a common mistake that you'll often hear. Cool. Okay, next one. Here we go. Genevieve, your turn.
You should go to the spa and treat yourself. You should go to the spa and treat yourself. Or you should go to the spa and treat yourself. And what is a spa? Does anyone know what a spa is? Because I think the German word has crept into the English vocabulary, and many native English speakers don't say spa anymore. They say something else. Yeah, sauna is part of a spa.
A spa usually has a sauna, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And hopefully a swimming pool. Yeah, wellness. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually a false friend in in German. Also, man würde denken, Wellness ist ein englisches Wort, kann man auch im Englisch benutzen, aber als Substantiv existiert das nicht.
Nee,
So, a Wellness, ist kein Begriff im Englischen. Also,
nee.
da muss man entweder sagen Spa or is there another word for it? No, it's a spa, I guess.
Luxury
spa.
resort. No,
Yeah.
spa is the best word for sure.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay,
Cool.
so
Next.
I think most people had the correct answer. You should go to the spa and treat yourself. Singular, yourself.
Yeah. Cool. I was a bit too quick there.
That's okay.
Here comes the next one already. They need to help each other. They need to help themselves. They need to help themselves. Hmm.
There might be more than one answer correct here, maybe.
Yeah, keep in mind, sometimes there are two answers. Okay, lots of ones, couple of threes. We'll wait for just another second for everyone to post in. Yeah. Cool. I see lots of ones and lots of threes. I'm very happy to not see too many twos in there. 1 and 3 are correct. So now let's talk about what they mean. Yeah. So they need maybe a better question. So let's say it's 1. They need to help each other. Könnt ihr da nachdenken? Wie würde man das auf Deutsch sagen? They need to help each other. They need to help each other. Wie würde man das auf Deutsch schreiben?
Don't worry, Krista. We love that you just keep trying. Keep trying. Mistakes help us learn.
Yeah. So Blümchenstraß says einander. Yeah, very good. So the key here is that the two people are helping each other. You can think about maybe gegenseitig is another way of saying it. Yeah, Micah just wrote there, gegenseitig helfen. That's the best way to think of each other, I think. And they need to help themselves. How would you explain that, Genevieve?
Well, I would say that if you had Bob and Mary, yeah, Bob and Mary were having problems taking down their Christmas tree. Well, they're in lockdown because of the pandemic, so nobody can help them. They need to help themselves. So they need
Yeah.
to like do it themselves. They can't get help from
anybody
outside.
else.
They need to help themselves.
Cool. Yep, exactly. Perfect. Cool. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. This is not true. And I'm very happy that it's not true. But we didn't see anybody else, just our little family. I spent Christmas all by ourselves. I spent Christmas all by myself, or I spent Christmas all by myself.
Mhm. So once again here, a little hint. Look at the subject pronoun and think about what is our reflexive pronoun using? The object pronoun plus self or selves. Cool.
Yeah, I see lots of twos.
Lots of twos, and here the majority has it. I spent Christmas all by myself. So we have I subject pronoun, my object pronoun plus self, myself.
I'm not going to start singing again, but there is a song called All by Myself.
It's true. We can learn well with music. Music is a
Oh, I
great way to
know.
learn. Yeah. Okay, we have a couple more. She gave the antidote to the poison just in time. She gave himself, she gave me the antidote, or she gave myself the antidote to the poison just in time. Antidote here, wisst ihr, wie das heißt? Heißt das dasselbe auf Deutsch? Nein. Antidote.
Is it something with gift Entgiftungsmittel oder?
Yeah, maybe. Let's see if the audience can help us. So, tricky one here.
Gegengift.
Gegengift.
Danke, Christa.
Of course, Gegengift. Okay, this is a tricky question here. So, let's talk through this one. We have lots of twos, a few ones. So we have the pronoun she, and we would expect herself, not himself. So himself is correct. It's the right pronoun. It's just the wrong gender in this case. So we could say she gave herself the antidote to the poison just in time. That would be fine. Yeah, drinking, or I was going to do that. She gave herself the antidote, so we don't have that option. So let's look at the other two. She gave me the antidote to the poison just in time. Yeah, that one sounds right. And she gave myself, no, that doesn't work either because it doesn't match our subject pronoun at the beginning. So in this case, she is the subject, me is the object. She gave me the antidote just in time. Cool. Okay, two more.
Okay. Who's next, please? I am. Me am. We am. So imagine you're sitting, waiting to see the doctor.
I think this one is particularly clear somehow because of the verb right after has to agree. So I think that one is a nice one for us to remember.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's finish with a nice little look towards next week. And I guess you are going to have to read this one, right,
I guess
Genevieve?
so, yes. So Karina and me will host the session next week. Karina and we will host the session next week. Or Karina and I will host the session next week. True.
True story, yep.
Ooh, very mixed.
Ones and threes. Okay. So, hier kommen wir zurück zu unserem Thema am Anfang des Sessions, und zwar I or me, ja? Und erinnert euch daran, unsere Daumenregel, our rule of thumb. If the pronouns are at the beginning of the sentence, it is probably the subject. So, in this case, it is, which means 3 is correct here. Karina and I will host the session next week. So, we hope you learned a little bit today about I and me, and maybe some of the different dialects that we have with pronouns as well, with you and y'all and ye and so on. And yes, ja. Ja, war schön wieder bei euch zu sein. Wir hoffen, dass ihr heute was gelernt habt. Und ja, wie wir hier im Satz sehen, werden Genevieve und Karina dabei sein mit einem spannenden Thema. Und wir hoffen, dass ihr auch nächste Woche kommt. Thank you for coming, everybody, and Happy New Year. Happy 2022. Good to see you, Genevieve.
Bye. Happy New Year, everyone. See you next week.
Bye, everyone.